What's up, guys? It's Kendall here, and today I'm going to be talking about this meme that I have posted up on the screen here. I've seen this meme gone viral, I think, for about the past 4 weeks now, and for me, this has been completely mind-boggling that people are putting this out there. Some even my colleagues who even agree with it. And now they're kind of showing me how small and narrow minded they actually are, and that they don't have an outside perspective of what's actually going on in the world. Because the reality, and to due to COVID 19, we're in a global pandemic. Now, whether you think it's real or not is a complete different side of the story, and that's not even the premise of this conversation, so I'm not even going to get into that. But my whole point is with this viral meme that is going out talking about literally attacking people, talking about that if they don't do this, if they don't come out with a new skill, or they don't learn a new language or come ripped or some nonsense like that, that apparently that they lack discipline and they never lack time, which again doesn't make sense at all. And so I took some time and I really went in depth and tried to really get a good premise of what this argument was actually about, and then how I actually debunk it. I'll first say this thing is complete nonsense. The first thing that they fail is this premise of this initial argument. It rests entirely on the assumption that people being isolated or they have been quarantined have get to people with more time. But the logic behind that doesn't make sense at all, because many people actually don't have just more time. They actually have less time. For example, if somebody, and this happened to many people, out of the 30 million people who have been on unemployment, some people have lost their jobs, and now their kids aren't going to school because schools are closed down. So now they have to spend time, obviously they have to raise their kids, but now they have to, the time that they went to school, now they have to bring that work at home, because now some of them are doing online and they're having help with their kids. Now, meaning, when you mean more time to be what? Productive, or actually you have to actually have more time to actually do the things that you didn't need to do before, but now you have to do because of the pandemic. Secondly, the premise of the argument, it relies on only two resources, and that's time and discipline. And against one another, they're implying that there's only two variables in that equation, but they're forgetting things like money, sleep, energy, and stability. And I mean, the reality is you having just time and discipline, but having no money, sleep, energy, or stability just makes absolutely no sense. It's actually kind of very narrowly hard to do those things without this. And with such these arguments, they come from an incredibly narrow-minded and privileged perspective that I believe has infected part of the Western culture, which pretty much lionizes underdog success stories. And with that, I come to the conclusion that a lot of these things, they come from examples of survivorship bias. And what that is, it's basically a form of selectionship bias in which one person makes a logical error of like concentrating on the people or the things that made them through the selection process, but they completely forget to ignore everything. And as I already talked about with the Western society here, and I'm pretty sure they're probably spreading this meme elsewhere on the internet. Oh Lord, that the cultures, at least with us, it defies people who've achieved success despite challenging circumstances, but we have no idea about the people who didn't succeed at all or who didn't achieve success because they're unknown. And therefore, our perspective is skewed because we think whoever didn't do this is a failure, so what? And so when you put this in context of emotional distress and trauma that many people are facing right now, mind you, due to a global pandemic that nobody, especially, had any control over this or even wished it upon them. And things get muddy real fast. Things start tripping along, people are losing their jobs, a lot of things going on, and a lot of uncertainty. Now, some people are in a great mental state to start a business. And unfortunately, there's some other people, and I shouldn't say unfortunately because it kind of puts back in the premise, but some people can't even get out of bed right now, even these past 8 weeks. And that's not a matter of discipline. That's just a result of an individual psyche responding to different circumstances. For example, I ran my first 50K over the weekend, right? That's 31 miles, right? But I can't say I'm more disciplined to anybody else watching this because you didn't run 31 miles. That doesn't make me more of a better person than you are, because that doesn't make sense. The only way I can be more disciplined you in running is if you're putting the same amount of time, which I'm putting in easily 40 miles a week, to achieve what I needed to achieve, and you're not doing the same thing. That's it if I have more discipline, if you have that same desire. But reality is most people who are listening to this just don't say, you know what, Kendall, I'm going to run a 50K today, right? They just don't do that. But that doesn't make me more disciplined than you. That's just how I respond to different things, and running has become part of my lifestyle. And so when you put this overall into like a character judgment, that's what I see. They're pretty much passing judgment onto somebody who's capable of motivating themselves to be productive. But however, they're perpetuating a notion that doesn't make sense. Like they're trying to take a person's value and they're somehow attaching it as if it's already their output. And my whole conclusion with this whole meme in general is it just reeks. It absolutely reeks. The premise and the argument, everything, of just complete ignorance and privilege. And this meme that has been inconspicably viral is extremely condescending, insensitive, and dehumanizing of what's really going on in the world. And you know what's actually funny, because they talk about in this meme, as I go back to it, if you don't come out this quarantine with a new skill, well, I guess the people who agree with this meme, they can actually learn one skill, and that's actually empathy. Actually have empathy for others, because just because you are privileged, for me, for example, I have my online business, right? I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old, while I was also full-time active duty military. And, when I got started, my mentor, she advised me, like, don't have a brick and mortar business. You're just starting young, right? And I didn't know that COVID-19 was going to be here in 20, 25 years now. Neither did she, right? But that doesn't mean that even though I've been privileged, I have the ability to still make money during this pandemic. Now, however, I was very weary and candid of reaching out to my customers and talking to other people because I didn't have the natural intention to sell anything. Now, for me, like, if you have the money to do so and you can spend whatever, then hey, by all means do it, right? Money spending in the economy is great, circulating through. But the reality is that most people aren't in that situation, right? I was privileged. I didn't lose a lot during COVID-19. I really didn't. But that doesn't mean I'm better than those people who are hurting. And just because I knew something that they didn't, again, that doesn't make me more of a better human being than they are. Because I still have flaws. I still have insecurities, and I still make mistakes at times that I have to repent and fix. Some mistakes I made at 19 in my business, I'm still paying for now as 24 years old. And it's been 5 years. And I'm still paying for that. But, I'm learning that, and as I'm disguising through, and one thing I learned is I really learned to have empathy from other people because, my downfall in 2018 where I lost a lot, it really humbled me and really forced me to have much more emotional intelligence and to really understand what people are going through. Like, for crying out loud, this isn't a competition. This is a global pandemic, and there is people out here who are so-called hustlers who are talking about it, just talking, and they don't do anything. And that's what unnerves me. I cannot stand fakeness. I can't stand it. It bothers my mind, and I don't mean to turn this into a rant because, like I said, I just made a quick analysis of it. But this is where I'm really speaking from my heart and passion. Like, don't worry. Like, again, people who've lost their jobs, who have to tutor their kids at home, you can't just tell them that, if they didn't learn Swahili, then they should just stick something up their backside that they're worthless human beings. That doesn't exist, and that doesn't make sense. Here's the reality. If you don't come out with this quarantine with a new skill, with your new side hustles that I guarantee most of your friends won't even support you, mainly because you're probably quit, and more knowledge, is that you're doing just fine. People are going through a different pandemic at different times. We're going through the same pandemic, and not everybody is privileged to be in this situation, right? Not everybody was privileged to be like me, to have a home-based business. Not everybody was privileged to do that. And I understand that, which is why I'm not putting out these stupid memes and a bunch of this nonsense that doesn't make any sense to anybody because it's not relatable. And if you think you're a better human being because you're doing better off, but yet you lack empathy and emotional intelligence, you're just as much of a fool as the person who doesn't know anything. Your status doesn't mean anything. What matters is how you treat people and how your high emotional intelligence helps others to not only just like you, but to also have a reason to hear you out whenever they're struggling. Because we all struggle in different phases. Some of these people who realize they had one job and now they're out, maybe they'll learn something different. But sometimes it takes you losing things for you to finally figure out, okay, this is not the path I wanted to go. And so I thank you guys for tuning in to this video. Or more of a listening for me. Please do not share this meme. It's complete nonsense. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is it. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you guys in the next video. Out.